I was going to propose in Greece. Had the ring, a custom sapphire surrounded by tiny diamonds, because she said traditional solitaires were too predictable. 8 months of planning. 6 years together. The first 2 days were perfect. Breakfast overlooking the Aegean. Sunset photos that made me think, this is the woman I'll grow old with. Day 3. Something shifted. She wanted to try a morning yoga class. When she came back 2 hours later, she was glowing, but not from yoga. She was on her phone constantly, smiling at the screen in a way that felt intimate. When I asked who she was texting, she said, just Sarah from work. But Sarah's name wasn't on the screen, and she angled her phone away when I glanced over. Day 4 was worse. Another yoga class, stayed even longer. That night at dinner, she barely touched her food. When I reached for her hand, she pulled away. I'm just tired. Day 5, I'd made reservations at the nicest restaurant on the island. Cliff edge, panoramic sunset views. The ring was in my jacket pocket, hands sweating as I waited for that perfect moment. Before I could say anything, she put down her wine glass. We need to talk. I met someone. The yoga instructor. His name is Andreas, and he makes me feel alive in a way I haven't felt in years. With you, I exist. I go through the motions. But with him, I actually feel like I'm living. I sat frozen, while tourists laughed at nearby tables, and the sun set behind her head like some cosmic joke. What are you saying? I'm saying this is over. You should stay. The hotel is paid for. I already talked to Andreas, and I'm staying at his villa. The ring burned in my pocket. 6 years reduced to rubble, while a waiter hovered with dessert menus. She reached for my hand, and I pulled back. I hope you can understand someday, she said, then walked away, leaving me alone with a $3,000 engagement ring that suddenly meant nothing. I sat on the balcony until 3 a.m. holding that velvet box, and something inside me turned to ice. By sunrise, I'd made my decision. I wasn't staying in Greece crying into cocktails. I booked a flight leaving Athens in 6 hours. Then, I made a list. First, change the locks. The apartment was in my name. Second, contact a lawyer. Third, pack her things. Fourth, remove her from everything. I landed in New York at 2 a.m. and called a 24-hour locksmith. I need my locks changed right now. He arrived at 3 a.m. By 4 a.m., Jessica's old keys were useless pieces of metal in the trash. Next was packing. Every item went into boxes I labeled Jessica's belongings. Box 1 of 15. 6 hours later, the apartment looked like she'd never existed. At 9 a.m., I called my lawyer, Mark. Come to my office at 2 p.m. We'll handle this. The hardest call was to her parents, who'd always treated me like a son. I explained what happened. Her mother started crying. Her father said, what do you need from us? I have 15 boxes. I can't have them here. Bring them here. You didn't deserve this. Mark drew up papers notifying Jessica she was no longer authorized to enter, that her belongings were with her parents, and all shared accounts would be closed within 5 days. Jessica was probably still in Greece posting sunset photos with Andreas, thinking I was home crying, thinking we'd have some big conversation when she got back. On day 8, my phone exploded. 17 missed calls, dozens of texts. I'd blocked her number, but she called from different numbers. I didn't answer. Every communication went through Mark. On day 9, my building's doorman called. There's a woman here claiming to be your girlfriend. Says her key doesn't work. Her name is Jessica. She's not my girlfriend. She's not authorized to enter. If she causes problems, call the police. That evening, the doorman handed me an envelope. 4 pages of her handwriting. I threw it in the trash without reading it. Mark called that night. She contacted my office. Says the guy in Greece meant nothing, and she made a mistake. Tell her no. She explained everything perfectly in that restaurant. 1 month later, I saw her walking down the sidewalk with her mother. She looked terrible. Lost weight, messy ponytail, no makeup. Our eyes met through a cafe window. She started walking toward the entrance. I calmly stood up, left a 20 on the table, and walked out the back exit.